burst into flames. Get it started, get it started. It's bright and it's bright. It's bright, terrible. Oh my, get out of the way, please. It's burning, bursting into flames, and it's falling on the morning fast, and all the folks believe that this is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, the humanity.
This is the story everyone knows, the most famous disaster in history. But what if the real story wasn't the fire? What if the real story was the lie? Because the Hindenburg was not the deadliest airship disaster. That was a cover-up. And the official cause? A simple accident? That was a convenient excuse. The truth is, the people who built it knew it was a flying bomb. They were warned. They ignored it. And after it burned, the real cause was buried to protect a billion-dollar industry and a national reputation. This is the story of the flaw that doomed it, the disaster that wasn't the worst, and the cover-up that wrote the history books. But before we begin, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to support our community. The tale of the LZ-129. Hindenburg is deeply embedded in modern historical accounts. As the biggest Zeppelin of its era, this enormous, lighter-than-air vessel represented one of Germany's rigid-framed dirigibles, often called a Zeppelin. While such craft saw widespread use as military vehicles in World War I, the Hindenburg was in fact a commercial transport ship heading toward Manchester Township, New Jersey, on that decisive evening in 1937. Holding 16 sizable cells filled with combustible hydrogen gas within its hull, the vessel was essentially a potential airborne detonation. While the Hindenburg undertook its last descent, disaster occurred. The airship ignited, then collided with a mooring mast, erupting into a fireball, and plummeted to the airfield beneath it. The Hindenburg disaster resulted in 35 fatalities out of the 97 people on board, which also included the death of one individual on the ground team. The entire sequence of events was initiated by a passing thunderstorm. The airship's captain, Commander Max Pruss, opted to postpone the landing because of the inclement weather. After the storm started to subside, the craft released its landing lines approximately 180 feet above the ground, moments before the event that triggered the blaze. The majority of observers noted the initial flames at 7:25 p.m., and the conflagration rapidly expanded within the following minute, engulfing the entire structure. Certain accounts indicate that from the first evidence of trouble to the eventual impact on the ground, the process took a mere 32 seconds. Yet what was the precise failure? Be it a random lightning strike, an electrostatic discharge, or perhaps some classic anti-Nazi sabotage, the Hindenburg's destiny seized the public's attention, significantly aided by the first-hand account of a journalist on the scene and the horrifying film records of the event. The hydrogen aboard the Hindenburg was a rapidly combustible gas that provided the lift keeping the ship airborne. It was generally considered safe, but the moment the airship's outer cover caught fire, it swiftly set the gas ablaze. Of the 97 individuals on the Zeppelin when it was overcome by fire, the fatalities totaled only 13 passengers, 22 crew members, and 1 ground worker. According to numerous reports from the chaos, certain passengers felt compelled to jump from the burning craft in an effort to survive. Since the vessel was nearing its landing, it was still low to the earth, and a number of those who leapt did live through the event. Other jumpers faced a tragic outcome when they either perished from the fall itself or were trapped beneath the wreckage of the burning airship. It is surprising to note that a large number of the deceased were not killed by burns. In fact, only 2 unfortunate individuals are recorded to have died from burn injuries. These 2 passengers were probably situated very near to where the fire began. One survivor, Werner Donner, provided People magazine with a chilling narrative of the event several years before his death. As his family waited in the portside dining area to observe the landing, the airship drew near the mooring tower and let down its landing ropes. His father had stepped away to another level to fetch a new roll of film when the fire started. Donor explained to the AP that, abruptly, the very air seemed to be aflame. His mother seized his brother and threw him clear. She then grabbed Donor, fell backward, and threw him out as well. She attempted to help his sister, but the child was too heavy, and his mother chose to escape just as the Zeppelin was about to hit the ground. He lost his father and sister in the catastrophe, though his mother survived with a fractured hip. Donor sustained burns to his face, both of his hands, and along his right leg beneath the knee. A nurse used a needle to lance his blisters after the family reached the infirmary. Speaking in 2017, Donor shared his thoughts on the tragedy. He noted that the Internet and social media have revealed the story to and captured the curiosity of a younger demographic. The Hindenburg is not an event one easily forgets. The final surviving passenger from the Hindenburg disaster died 2 years after this reflection. Donor was correct in his assertion that the Hindenburg would never be forgotten. However, regardless of how terrible the Hindenburg event was, it did not hold the record for the most fatal airship catastrophe of that period. That unfortunate record is held by the U.S. Navy's dirigible, the USS Akron. The Akron encountered an intense, unstable weather system in 1933 and plunged into the ocean just off the New Jersey shoreline. It appears New Jersey constituted a perilous zone for air travel during the 1930s. Following the Akron crash, just 3 people lived through the event. 73 members of the crew died, a number exceeded only by the 48 fatalities from the 1930 accident involving the British military airship, the R-101. Although Chicago radio correspondent Herbert Morrison is well known for his impassioned eyewitness report of the Hindenburg disaster, listeners in Chicago did not hear his broadcast until that evening. The rest of the American public did not receive news of the event until the next day. Morrison's extraordinary account captured the nation's attention, and his audio recording became a media staple, frequently paired with newsreel video of the tragedy. His exclamation, "Oh, the humanity," grew into a widely recognized saying across the globe, one that remains in use even now. Yet that represents just a fraction of Morrison's full transmission, which provided a much more detailed narrative. It's burst into flames. Oh my, this is terrible. It is burning, burst into flames, and is falling on the mooring mast and all the folks we see. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, the humanity and all the passengers. Traveling across the Atlantic aboard the Hindenburg was an expensive undertaking. In 1936, the price for a single journey between Europe and America was a princely $400, which, when adjusted for inflation, amounts to nearly $7,000 today. The fare rose to $450 by 1937. A voyage on this airship was unquestionably designed for affluent travelers. That, however, did not prevent it from participating in other events, such as a major sporting competition in Berlin. In what the Nazi regime viewed as a propaganda victory, the Hindenburg appeared at the 1936 German Olympic Games. Spectators in the Olympic Stadium, along with some 3 million residents across the nation, observed the airship cruising 750 feet above the ground throughout the Summer Olympics, putting on a display for roughly an hour. As for what kind of performance a Zeppelin can offer, it mainly consists of flying to and fro. Well, it was something to see. On its initial public flight in 1936, the aircraft released pamphlets and swastika banners above German urban areas. Flying in coordination with other contemporary airships, the vessel promoted a referendum advocating for the reoccupation of the Rhineland, a broadly defined region in western Germany adjacent to the Rhine River. As if the weather wasn't already unpleasant from the shower of leaflets, the airship also broadcast patriotic tunes and additional propaganda messages via its loudspeakers during the flight. Indeed, Germany's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels, had intended to name the dirigible after Hitler. Fortunately, Dr. Hugo Eckener, the leader of the Zeppelin Corporation at the time, was strongly opposed and instead chose to name the ship after the deceased German president, Paul von Hindenburg. It's remarkable how significant a name can be. During its inaugural voyage that same year, several other noteworthy incidents took place. The airship crossed the Atlantic in just 2.5 days, an impressive pace for the era, considering most ocean liners required 5 days for the same trip. It also hosted the first Catholic Mass ever conducted while in flight. In contrast to contemporary coach-class flights, where even the thought of lighting a cigarette would lead to significant trouble, smoking was permitted on the airship. They even included a designated chamber for this purpose. This area was maintained as a sealed chamber to stop any flammable hydrogen from entering the space. The process was something of a regulated ritual, as an attendant would accompany guests into the room and supervise them to maintain security. Exiting the smoking lounge with any lighted tobacco product was absolutely forbidden. When traveling inside a vessel filled with 7 million cubic feet of hydrogen, a designated smoking room may not seem like the wisest inclusion. Nevertheless, the designers of the airship installed one regardless. Naturally, passengers were forbidden from carrying personal matches or lighters, though they could purchase all necessary items, including cigarettes and Cuban cigars, after coming aboard. Safety was the foremost concern. Zeppelins served as the earliest transporters of airmail. Able to journey across the ocean while maintaining a steady altitude and course, these vessels were exceptionally well suited for the mission. The final journey of the Hindenburg certainly followed this pattern. The airship was transporting an estimated 17,000 items of mail, the majority of which were consumed by fire during the catastrophe. A total of 176 letters endured the devastation because they were secured inside a reinforced storage compartment. Even though they were scorched in the blaze, the correspondence remained legible. These letters received a postmark dated 4 days after the airship was lost and are now highly sought after by collectors today. One surviving piece of mail, previously unknown to collectors, was offered for sale by Cohen's Auction on November 19, 2020, with an opening bid set at $7,000. Traveling aboard the Hindenburg was an exceptionally elegant way to journey. The operators of the airship intended to include live musical performances during trips, but were constrained by strict payload limits, making it impractical to host actual concerts inside the Zeppelin. They approached the renowned piano manufacturer Julius Bluthner and requested a uniquely lightweight baby grand piano designed specifically for aerial use. Constructed nearly completely from aluminum and weighing 400 pounds, the instrument was enveloped in yellow pigskin. It was employed solely during the airship's first season of operation and was not present during the fatal incident. Even at its reduced mass, the piano was sufficiently light to exert no meaningful influence on the vessel's flight characteristics. During the initial voyage to America in 1936, a well-known pianist named Franz Wagner performed multiple recitals for those on board, offering pieces by Chopin, Liszt, Beethoven, and Brahms, in addition to contemporary popular music. For reasons not entirely clear, the piano was seldom used on subsequent Hindenburg flights. It was taken off the airship in 1937, exhibited in a manufacturing facility, and ultimately destroyed without fanfare during a 1943 bombing raid when an explosive device devastated the factory where it was stored. In 1937, official accident investigators from both Germany and the United States concluded that the Hindenburg fire was initiated by an electrical spark which came into contact with unexpectedly leaking hydrogen. Some individuals maintain that the electrical spark explanation remains only a hypothesis. Initially, significant speculation focused on the possibility that the Hindenburg had been deliberately ignited in a bold act of anti-Nazi sabotage. After the catastrophe, rigid airships ceased to be employed for commercial passenger travel. Nevertheless, numerous questions regarding the disaster persist even now. Multiple hypotheses concerning the cause of the Hindenburg tragedy continue to circulate, and a lingering cloud of uncertainty still hangs over the precise origin of the fire to this day. One testimony comes from a ground crew member, Robert Buchanan, who was handling the mooring cables at the time the Hindenburg caught fire. Noticing one of the airship's engines backfiring, he suggested that the outer fabric was set alight by sparks from the engine. Another member of the ground team, Robert Shaw, reported observing a blue ring that he believed might have been escaping hydrogen, potentially ignited by sparks produced within one of the ship's power plants. A more contemporary explanation comes from retired NASA propulsion engineer Addison Bain, who suspects the origin may have lain in the material coating the airship. Supported by documentation, Bain proposed that the outer envelope was treated with a non-conductive butyl-based coating that inhibited the proper dissipation of electrical charge. The ship was descending at a much steeper angle than usual, and the accumulated static electricity ignited the covering. Bain discovered a 1937 letter from the Zeppelin Corporation to the paint supplier expressing concern over tests in which the paint easily caught fire under electrostatic discharge, a finding later supported by experiments at the Wireless Telegraph and Atmospheric Electrical Experiment Station. They determined that the aluminum-based paint exhibited poor electrical conductivity when applied to the outer surface of an airship. However, Bain's research is not without its skeptics, and noted airship historian Dan Grossman tends to dissent. He observed that while the scenario is conceivable, it is not the most probable account, and it does not alter the reality that a massive airship was destroyed in under 1 minute. Grossman contends there is only one genuine enigma surrounding the disaster. What was the source of the hydrogen leak? As he explained to Live Science, it is known that hydrogen was escaping and that it was likely ignited by an electrostatic discharge related to the weather conditions. A thunderstorm was occurring during the landing attempt. Whatever truly happened on that fateful day in 1937, the realm of aviation would be forever transformed, and the magnificent flying airships of the early 20th century faded into one immense, gaseous memory. So what is your opinion? What truly caused the Hindenburg fire? Share your thoughts in the comment section below.